We Geek podcast. Today is Wednesday, March 16th. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by my good friend Logan.
Hello.
What up, man? And so how's your week been?
Crazy. I mean, work's just been nuts.
Same here, same here. I had some shuffling around with some of the people on my team this week, so it's been a rough few days. Besides that, I've just been, I went and saw a movie over the weekend, played some video games. I played a lot more of a video game that I didn't expect to play because I expected to play a different video game, but we'll get into that. I talked a little bit about it last week.
Yeah, all right.
But I have a lot more to say about it this week. Just been busy with that. I saw 10 Cloverfield Lane. Did you check that out?
I did. We're gonna talk about that.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, no, just been surprisingly also playing a lot of my 3DS. I found for some reason it's just gotten a little bit more life left in it for me.
There you go.
Bravely Default, and, Zelda and whatnot. But yeah, man. So, let's get into it. So, let's see what we got. We got probably let's just start out right out of the gate with the biggest news.
Yeah.
That we got. The Civil War trailer. What'd you think?
I kept watching it and I was like, okay, it's kind of the same thing. It was just like different clips from the same scenes that we'd already seen.
Right.
Even up to the very end. And I was like, all right, what's so new about that? Oh my God.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And before we get to the big part, there are some things that are spoiled in that trailer if you pause certain scenes. That I didn't like because I was watching a video about it and maybe the guy shouldn't have pointed it out, but I won't say what it is just in case you're not, just if you don't want to be spoiled, don't go through that video very slowly. There was also some other cool little things like there's people in glass containment things that I'm curious who they are because they look like they're kind of important, that they're fighting around some sort of facility. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, let's get to I don't want to bury the lead, sorry, but let's get to the man of the hour. They showed Spider-Man.
Finally.
Yes. Yep. And what'd you think?
Okay, I'm in. Like, he's here. Let's do this already.
I guess I'm weird about it. I don't know. I saw it and I was like, okay. It was clear as day they're going for the 70s look, which is cool.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's not the outfit that I would have picked or that I like, but hey, whatever. I'm not upset about it or anything. It's just I thought, oh, that's I don't know. My theory is that we're getting the 70s look now. From what we've heard, because they did say he is going to have costume changes throughout the film. So my assumption is Marvel was like, and this is what they've done with all their films, they show you the old outfit first just because, they got to stay true, just like they did with Iron Man and everything else.
Right.
Daredevil, for example. Actually, Daredevil's a little different, but it evolved. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I hope, and this is just pure fanboy hope, is that I hope that we see Iron Spider at some point. That's got to be teased.
I would love to see, like, if they don't do it, like, I would love to see just like a blueprint,
right,
like in one of Stark's workshops or something.
Exactly, because that's the whole thing about Tony Stark is he doesn't just do something small. He'll go crazy with it. So why one little Spider-Man outfit? Why not make 6 of them? And then exactly. We just briefly see it. That would be cool. And then I'm thinking by the end of the film we get more of the traditional bigger eyes, that kind of stuff. What do you think of the eyes?
I love that they closed.
Yep.
That was that raises so many questions about. Like, did he design that part of the suit? Is that a function of the mask? Is that some tech maybe that he's designed? Like, to me was the most intriguing part of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because and in this movie he's 15 or 16, so he's still in high school, but he's still really smart. So it's gonna be cool seeing him interacting with Tony Stark because that's kind of like probably an idol to him, probably like someone he looks up to at least. Like, oh wow, this guy's an engineer, that and all this other stuff. I think that's really cool. Yeah, and I love the way they do with the eyes. And to me, it's we first kind of got this with Deadpool, them playing with the eyes like that. And it's the same thing with Spider-Man because obviously Deadpool was pulled from Wolverine and Spider-Man as like an amalgamation. I'm just mispronounced that horribly, but it's two characters combined really. And so Deadpool's eyes always moved in the comics. So did Spider-Man's to show emotion or whatever. So
Yeah.
this is kind of a cool way to make it practical. It might zoom in, zoom out with his eyes opening or closing. So, it's going to be really cool to see how that plays out. The one thing that I didn't like was the voice, because he sounded, I guess, like every teenager, like, didn't really want to be there, like, hey, everybody. Like, it just came off very,
I mean,
like,
here's Spider-Man in the midst of the Avengers plus Black Panther,
yeah.
and come
You
on,
think
that's
you think it'd be like, oh my God, what's up? You know?
well, and I'm sure that's what's going on in his head. But remember, dude's 15 years old in front of people he's idolized. He's trying so hard not to be a spaz.
I
Like
guess it came off like a kid going to like a family reunion and not wanting to be there. Hey
See,
everybody.
I caught that the other way around of like, okay, gotta be cool. How do I be cool? What do I say that's cool? How do I do something cool? Hey everyone, no, that's not cool, Peter, you idiot. Like,
Right.
just
Yeah, I guess because we can't hear it in his
yeah.
head.
Like that's what I see in him, and that's
I
the
just,
Peter Parker I want. Like he's supposed to be awkward and I mean he's a teenager for God's sake.
right. I convinced my friend it was Justin Bieber. Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, no,
Oh.
I definitely convinced my friend because he's like, so who's playing it? I'm like, oh, that's Justin Bieber. And he's like, are you kidding me? I was like, well, listen to the voice. He replayed it. He's like, that sounds like it. And I was like, I know, right? I was like,
Oh,
just kidding, it's not.
that's just cruel.
Right. He's like, yep, definitely. He's like, that just killed it for me. I'm just kidding. It's not Justin Bieber. But yeah,
Oh.
no. So, I mean, that's what it is. What it is. Spider-Man's in the film. My only real, because all of the things I've mentioned are little tiny, whatever. I'm still excited for it. My biggest problem is that they showed him. I did not want to see him until the movie comes out. I wanted them to go the Star Wars route where we all knew Luke was going to be in it. You know, that was told to us from the beginning. But they saved that for the film. I would have rather them save that for the movie. Because we're all going to see it. It's not like suddenly now they're going to get, six other people that have been completely clueless on the planet that didn't know, or I'm sorry, like 6,000 people that didn't know Spider-Man was going to be it and now suddenly do. Everyone knew that. That was from the beginning, so I don't know. I kind of wish they would have saved it.
I mean, see, here's the thing. Like you talked about it just a second ago, the costume changes. I think had they showed him in one of these later costumes, that would have been the blunder.
Right, exactly. Yeah, just a lot of noise about DC's trailer with Batman vs Superman, and I'm not going to go into detail about what they showed and whatnot, but in the trailer they explain what they show in depth. Where Spider-Man, he just pops in and he says, "Hey everybody," and clearly, I mean, we know whose side he's on. We all kind of assumed that, I guess, if you read the comics, but they didn't go into detail. There wasn't a minute of explanation of how they got there. You know, what they came about. If you get what I'm saying, I'm trying to walk around it, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing we know is that he's there
Yep.
and he's working with Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
those are the only things we know as facts.
Right. Right. And so these movies are gonna be huge. I remember we talked about last week how long they're gonna be, and they got enough time to. And that's one thing I guess about the Marvel film is they don't have to explain every character. We don't need an origin. Everything's explained except really for maybe Black Panther, Spider-Man, and that's it. And those are the two characters that I imagine they're going to go a little bit more in depth with in the movie, and I can't wait for that.
Totally.
Yeah. And how about Black Panther though? Like they showed a little bit more of him running and ripping people off bikes and stuff.
Yeah, like I'm looking forward to that because that's a character, and that's why I'm looking for Ta-Nehisi Coates' comic coming out in a few weeks, just
Yeah.
because that's a character I know so little about. Like I know the basics, but I mean that's pretty much it.
No, I knew that his claws were made of the same material as Cap's shield. Apparently his whole outfit is too.
Really, some form of wow,
Some
that's
form of it, yeah. That
wow.
and that's all from Black Panther to Black Panther. That suit is somehow made up of the same material somehow. I don't know. Apparently it's really tough. I don't know. And I could be all wrong, but that's what I was hearing listening to a few other podcasts and whatnot. And I didn't know that. I knew for sure the claws were, but I didn't know about the entire outfit somehow being woven into it or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh well, that no wonder like Duke can get hit with something, it just bounces right off.
Right.
Yeah, and why the entire outfit would be made of it. So like it's not gonna like hit his cheekbone or something. It's gonna bounce
Yeah.
right off of his suit. So I thought it was cool. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm ready to see it. I know that grabbed the internet by storm. It was like the second DC gets something out there that's like, hey, look at this. Look at this is great. And then boom, Marvel's like, nope, here we go. Here's
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
right. Because this was before or after the the newest Batman Superman trailer.
This was right after.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. This is that classic DC versus Marvel, and I love it. I absolutely love it. That it needs to happen. It needs to get them, competing with each other on to make them better. To make, So I'm just pumped for it. We got Daredevil in a few days. Like,
Yeah, day after tomorrow.
Yep. And
And then Batman vs Superman next week.
Yep. Exactly. So, they're going to be competing over your television and movie time. So, dude, I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. I'm going to be seeing Batman Superman opening night, and then I think Saturday a whole bunch of my friends are going. Some of my friends, they like to wait, and I'm like, what? Why risk that? Oh, also apparently spoilers are all over the internet.
Oh, there's a surprise. Well, because there have been screenings.
There have been screenings, so this is just like Star Wars, where if you weren't careful a week or two prior, you could go on Twitter and some idiot's gonna repost it or something. So hopefully by this time you've kind of cycled through your friends list and kind of removed anyone that would be stupid enough to do that. My biggest pet peeve is when one of my friends, who's not really into this kind of stuff, sends me an article and they're like, "Hey, is this true? Is this gonna really happen?" And I'm like, "Why would you even send that to me?"
Yeah.
What? It baffles me. I'm like, he's like, "Well, I don't know if it's true or not," and I'm like, "I don't. Why would you like? Do you not understand what you just did? Like, don't even. Oh man, I hate that stuff."
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, it's Captain America. So I'm pumped, and it seems like every 2 months we're gonna be getting something, comic book related, movie wise, for the rest of the year. So I'm pretty pumped. You want to take the next one here?
I really don't want to, but I will.
Have you seen any of these?
I have, and they got worse. Like the first one, the first Sharknado was like, hey, this is stupid and awful and funny and like a tremendous riff on B movies.
Mm-hmm.
Great, let it go. And then they said, no, we need to make a sequel. And I thought, oh god, okay, why? But go for it. And then they did the third one. And I thought, okay, now you have jumped the shark. Like this is insane. Why are you doing this? And now we find out that Ian Ziering and Tara Reid are coming back for Sharknado 4 because my god, the last one was Sharknado 3. Oh hell no. I'm hoping this one is Sharknado 4. Please God, please let it stop.
Right. Yeah, Tara Reid, huh? Jeez, man. She was in what, American Pie?
Yeah, probably. I really don't remember.
Oh, jeez, yeah, my parents and I think grandparents have told me about it, and they're like, "Have you seen this? This is great." And I'm like, I've seen parts of it, but I can tell what they're trying to do. They're trying to do like cheesy,
Right, but they have gone too far.
Like, what was that old studio that did like, the Toxic Avenger?
Oh, yeah.
Trovy, or oh man,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a studio James Gunn came from. Yeah, that it's like clearly that's what they're doing. They're trying to make movies like that, like all what is it, Surf Nazis Must Die, and like all these crazy, weird, bizarre movies. That's what they're doing. And like so Sharknado, and they had a time where they were just kind of combining all the animals, right?
Yeah.
like spiders and snakes and man, yeah, this just all right. We'll move on from that. But yeah, so this is some funny news. I guess Seth Rogen is reportedly set up to produce a live action Where's Waldo film for MGM Studios.
Because this is what we've all been looking for, I guess.
I see what you did there. Yeah, no, why not? I don't care. This isn't a franchise where I'm like, they're gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious at best to see how they do this.
My thing is just what are they gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how you adapt this. I mean, I can think of a dozen different ways, but all of them suck.
Right.
But that's why I'm not writing movie scripts. So.
Oh yeah. Did you see the trailer that he put out?
Oh, for Sausage Party?
For Sausage Party?
I don't know how I feel about that.
What?
Because part of me thinks this is really funny, and part of me thinks I don't know about this.
I think it looks hilarious. And it was funny because it caught some of my friends by surprise. They were like, "Well, I thought that was gonna be like an animated movie, like Kid for Kids," and then suddenly,
No.
they start eating it. Like, oh my god, I don't know. We haven't really seen anything like that in a really long time.
Yeah.
That's just completely animated. So, I'm all in for it. There's so much talent in it too. Like the roster they have.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Is insane.
But that's I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, he starts eating the baby carrots.
They're eating children.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was great. And like my favorite is when like the war scene and like the spaghetti is putting it back in the can.
Yeah.
The spaghettios or whatever. It was great. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. Did you know that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg also did Diali G? They were the writers for that.
Really?
I was listening to an interview with why I just forget his name? Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen, yeah. And he was talking about how those two writers wanted to do the show so bad that they were like, okay, we can't pay you much, and like he's talked about how they had to go to different locations, they would share a room, and they would just be up typing all night, and yeah, apparently they were behind the minds of Diali G as well. So I had no idea. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Not entirely surprising, really.
No, not at all. Like you go back and you think back, I really like a lot of stuff that them two work on. So whenever I hear of a project where they're like these two, they're always together. They're never really doing anything separate. I'm always like, okay, like I'm it's kind of like the Marvel thing. I'm like, I'm in at least to test it. But yeah. So we also got some rumors about Daisy Ridley considered to star as Lara Croft.
Yeah, they're still moving forward with a Tomb Raider reboot, but they don't have a lead yet.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of too much for her to juggle Star Wars and another potentially huge series like Tomb Raider.
I don't know.
No, you don't think?
I don't think so. No.
What was another? I guess Chris Pratt's doing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at that. He's in Jurassic Park. He's got Guardians.
Jesus, yeah. So she goes from making no films as being a bartender a few years back. Now she's in the biggest franchise on the planet, and she could possibly be in one of the biggest video game franchise movies on the planet.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Let's see here. We got Kingsman 2, Halle Berry. I guess in talks to play CIA officer in the sequel. So
Okay.
That probably doesn't excite you, does it?
Whatever. Like I like the first one. I enjoyed the first one. I look forward to a sequel.
Yeah, I guess Halle Berry just doesn't do it for me. I don't know why.
I
That news is not exciting.
so I don't know. Maybe I think after Catwoman it kind of soured a lot of people.
Yeah.
She was a class act when she went to the Razzies to accept her award for it.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. And she gave, because she had won for Monsters Ball. She'd won the Academy Award. And then, flash forward to Catwoman. So she parodied her own Academy Award speech as her Razzie Award speech.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's hysterical.
Well, that's funny. At least she gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. For Assassin's Creed, the sequel to video game inspired film already in the works at New Regency, Fassbender to return. So, wait a second.
Yeah, they're it's not even anywhere near out yet, and they're already in pre-production on a sequel.
I guess they have faith in it.
I guess they're
Are we in the age of where there was really bad comic book movies? Not really bad, but there were some good ones and then a lot of bad ones, and then suddenly comic book movie Marvel, took it and did something great with it, with like Iron Man. Um, do you think we could be on the cusp of that with video game movies?
I hope so because we've had enough crappy video game movies.
Right, exactly. And here's what needs, my personal opinion, what needs to happen. They need to be able to take a video game, which there's so many good stories, and they need to translate it into a film, like they do with comic book movies.
Right.
A comic book movie does not need to, if they put it and they made a movie exactly how it is in the comic, it would not be good because it's not how good storytelling is for something that takes 20 minutes or maybe 10 minutes to read,
Right.
depending on how much is written. Same with a video game. You can't take everything with a video game. Just take the story, put the characters as best you can, and do that. And so Assassin's Creed could make a very good film series. World of Warcraft could make a good, universe to play in.
Totally.
It,
They're
yeah,
talking.
even the Division would make a good story. Destiny, you could make a story out of that if you tried, and they've been trying. Uh, but yeah, so it's. I think we're on that cusp where,
I think I really do think it is all going to hinge on Warcraft.
yeah,
Regardless of what they're doing with Assassin's Creed, I think that's going to come out regardless. I think everybody's kind of waiting on things like Uncharted or Tomb Raider
yes,
or any of these other projects because Warcraft is so primed for something like this. It is the perfect, if you can get this to work, that kicks the door open.
exactly. My only problem with the Warcraft movie is it looks too much like CGI. But if people go out and see it and it's good, I don't, I just I look at it and I'm like, everything's CGI in it, and it kind of, when I saw the Gods of War trailer, I kind of put that in my head. I'm like, why are you excited for one thing and not for the other when they are both just big CGI fests? And I think it's because I love Warcraft. I love that story, that lore. I get those characters where everything else looked bad in, Gods of Egypt. That's the only criticism I have of seeing the trailer is I want, and I hope maybe in the next one, and it's all because of funding. That's really what it is. They didn't have the money probably to do the sets and stuff like Lord of the Rings. So if it does do good, and of course, I'm sure they're going to want to make a sequel to it. That's where I think they might have more time to kind of play with more real, you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
mix of the CGI and a mix of the real, like they did with Star Wars. But yes, I totally agree. I think everyone's eyes are on that to see how well it plays because there's millions of people that played that game that if they're any bit curious, they're going to go to see it in the theater. And I hope it kills. Um, let's see what else we got here. You go ahead and take the next one.
Yeah, this was interesting. This is a film that I hadn't heard a lot about. It's another Skydance film. It's called Life, and it was going to star Ryan Reynolds,
Okay.
but he hit some scheduling conflicts with a movie he's doing. Was it Hitman's Bodyguard or something that he's doing? So he's going to step back and take a supporting role, and Jake Gyllenhaal is going to take over the lead,
Oh, okay.
which means I am not going to go see it.
You're not a fan of Jake, huh?
Nah, I'm not. Like I liked some of his stuff, like Brokeback Mountain was great, and he's done what was Source Code. Source Code was good,
Hmm.
but like I don't know, like so much of his other stuff is just really kind of missed for me.
Gotcha.
So I
Gotcha.
don't know.
So what's this Skydance?
They're a production company.
Okay, I guess I've just never heard of them. What other films have they done?
Oh, uh, I am completely drawing a blank here.
Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot there. Yeah, no.
Pick a sci-fi film.
Those usually-
Yeah, you see them a lot. Damn, I really can't think of any off the top of my head. I want to say Jupiter Ascending, which is not something I want to say,
Oh, okay,
but
gotcha.
there's I know they've worked with Bad Robot before. I know
Oh
that.
yeah, that's what I was looking at. Is apparently they something to do with Paramount's J.J. Abrams project's God Particle.
Yeah.
Something I don't know. I was looking it up about the Life movie, and that's
Here we go. Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, Star Trek Into Darkness,
uh,
they've done, yeah, they're big with the Mission Impossible and Star Trek movies.
gotcha. Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome. All right, we got some Beetlejuice 2 news.
But we had some news and then we didn't have some news.
Yeah. Um, Film reportedly confirmed by Tim Burton, then unconfirmed. So what? Come on, what does that even mean?
It
Like,
it means that this is the 87th rumor about this movie being made.
right, exactly. So
I mean, because we've had Winona Ryder say, "Oh yeah, we're doing it," and then people came out and said, "No, no, we're not doing it." And then
right,
Tim Burton came out and said they're working on it, and the studio said, "No, we're not working on it." And then somebody from the studio said, "Hey, I think we're working on it." And then I think Tim Burton came out and he said, "No, we're not working on it." But
right,
I mean, this is just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's
right.
driving me crazy.
Yeah,
It's a Beetlejuice story in and of itself.
it really is. I mean, some things have to happen. I think it's got to be Tim Burton, and you got to have Michael Keaton in it.
Yeah. Oh, he has to come back. Oh yeah. And I'm sure. And that was another one. Keaton was one of those people that was like, "Oh yeah, they're definitely working on it." And the studio was like, "No, we're not working on it." Like,
Why?
like
Why would you not? Why would you want to hush out rumors? Come
I
on.
man, I don't know because this is something that you can do for a modest budget. That's gonna be a decent. It's gonna make decent money in theaters, but the home video market on this is gonna be huge.
Yep.
And it's one of my favorite stories when Kevin Smith went to work on what eventually didn't become Superman Lives. Which, have you seen the documentary
No, I
on
need to
that?
see that. You
Oh,
told me
it's
about it.
so good. It's such a good documentary. But he
Hmm.
said one of the other projects that was in the pipeline at the time was a sequel to Beetlejuice, and it was called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. I would have killed to see that movie. That would have just been amazing.
Are you kidding me?
Like that's one of those things that's like that is so bananas. It would work if you did it right. Like you would have to acknowledge just how ridiculous it was, but it would so totally work.
That is the most 90s
Yeah.
sequel I've
Isn't it?
ever heard. I'm
Isn't
looking at
it?
I'm looking at odd name for sequels,
Yeah.
or movies that were almost sequels that should not have happened or should not happen. One of them was 7-2, and then it was 8.
Yeah.
So the 8 is the G. Um, uh, I don't have the list of the other ones in front of me. What? Yeah, it was just ridiculous. I guess there was a sequel to E.T. Uh,
Well,
yeah,
E.T. originally was not a fun movie.
right. Well, yeah, well, that's one movie that should not have a sequel.
Right.
Just shouldn't happen. Forrest Gump 2, Gump and Company.
Well, there was a second book.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know Forrest Gump was a book.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, and they wrote a sequel to it, and it's even weirder. Like he meets so many more. It was like they said, "Well, the first one worked, so I'm just gonna take this second one and just run it into the ground."
Wow. It's not about him then. It's got to be about someone
Oh
else.
no, it's about him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just he meets way more famous people.
Wow. There's Casablanca 2, Brazzaville, and before we take a break, let me get the number one, Gladiator 2. So, all right. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you in a minute when we come back from break. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we got some more video game movie news. Portal. Apparently, films are being based off Valve Games Portal, and Half-Life, according to J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
Now,
remember they announced this what 2 years ago?
yes, they announced that yeah, J.J. Abrams was going to be working with Valve on a few different projects, and that's where it kind of got into the realm of video. Of course, started talking about Half-Life and Portal and whatnot, and that's kind of right up J.J. Abrams'
Alley.
alley. What was I going to
Totally.
say? Album, Jesus. But yeah, no, that's right up his alley, man. He's kind of great for those kind of films. Now I was never into Half-Life, so I know that's weird for people to to hear, but it just was never my thing. I understand why people liked it so much. Portal, I've played a little bit of it, but not much. But I could totally see him working with them and working on films based like that.
I
What do
think
you
it
think?
would. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Those are definitely his kind of film, especially something like Half-Life.
yeah. Oh yeah. I see we're here. We got Batman: The Killing Joke, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill returning to do the roles. Now, I thought this was already confirmed.
It was kind of like almost not officially confirmed.
Okay, because
It
I
was
feel like
one.
we've been talking about it since they announced it.
Well, it was one of those things where like they announced this was going to be a thing, and then everybody kind of went back to, oh, remember when Mark Hamill said that this would be like if he could pick a last Joker thing to do, this would be it.
Gotcha.
And then it kind of went around like, oh yeah, he and Conroy are coming back, and they were like, is this for real? And they were like, well, I mean, sorta. But Mark made a big deal about it. Yesterday, day before, like he could officially say that they were doing the voices for it.
There you go. The ink has dried. The checks were cashed.
There you go.
Yep. So that's awesome. So yeah, that's gonna be great. Then they talked about, DC was not, you know, excluding a rated R film, that it could possibly be the first rated R DC animated movie, and I'm curious if they go that route. I know they saw how popular Daredevil was.
Well, and
They
and
could.
the Dark Knight Returns.
Was the Dark Knight Returns rated R?
It was PG-13, but I mean I don't know how it was PG-13.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I mean, I've watched some of the DC animated movies, and I'm like, did Hal Jordan just say shit?
Yeah.
Like, what the shit? Like, this is more. That's where I'm like, when it's doing it in Justice League, that shouldn't be happening. But Dark Knight Returns, of course, that's absolutely primed to do it.
Yeah.
Same with The Killing Joke. That's you can't get darker than that.
No, I don't think there's a darker mainstream
Right.
Batman story. That and the Dark Knight Returns are kind of tied at the top for me, but I think
Yeah.
because Killing Joke goes to some psychologically dark places.
Oh yeah, what they do to Jim Gordon and his daughter. I mean, ugh.
And what is implied
Right, right,
that they
exactly.
do. Like that's what's worse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's gonna be interesting to see, like, do they tiptoe around it, or do they exclude it, or do they have a way to do it? Because they can't just come right out and do it. Like there are some things in there that just that I'm sure they like, I imagine when you see Commissioner Gordon, he'll at least be wearing his underwear probably.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean
Yeah.
that's it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Or some brighter news. Indiana Jones. Well, I guess that wasn't depressing news. I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad they're all on board. I'm glad the movie's coming out. But we have Indiana Jones 5 sequel confirmed for Spielberg and Ford to star in, and it should be around set for July 2019.
Where are we now? Indiana Jones and the Platinum Walker? Like, I don't. I'm
The
sorry. I
Platinum Walker.
I love Harrison Ford, but I mean, is this gonna be Indy in a nursing home?
Oh, okay, I got it. I'm sure he'll probably be like what Sean Connery was in the third one. I imagine, he'll be able to do it. I think he's still got some life left in him for film. This might be his last movie, for all we know. This was kind of his. Star Wars he'll always be known for. Harrison. Who do you think he'd be known for more, Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that
That's a
is. For
very
me, it would
good
be Han
question.
Solo, just because. But it's not his film. Where Indiana Jones is his film
Yeah.
franchise. That's his. Where more of an ensemble cast for Star Wars. So that might be where he hangs his hat. And I think that's probably what the plan
Ah.
is. Right. I think that's probably what the plan is. He picked it up in the last one, and thank God. Even though I like Shia, he kind of went off the deep end. He's not good for those kind of roles. So it's going to be interesting to see who they pair him with, because you got to imagine whoever they pair him with is the person taking over the franchise.
Right. They have to. This has to be the passing of the torch.
Yeah, so if they get Chris Pratt or someone in there, great. Even if it's not, if it's someone known, whatever, whoever the next one is, that's going to be who he's paired with. And I hope they make a joke like, "What about your son? Well, he's fixing motorbike or something." Just
Yeah, there'll be
makes,
there'll be a one-off for sure.
yeah, exactly. He's doing something somewhere.
He got
Yeah,
he got stuck in an elevator somewhere or something.
right, exactly. Yeah, bingo. I like Shy. I like Shy stuff. Those kind of films clearly, and he's said this multiple times, they're not his cup of tea anymore. He doesn't want to do those kind of films. He's way more artsy fartsy now. So, and that's good for him. That do those kind of films. He's a great actor. I mean, he was perfect in Fury. But yeah, it's a good thing he's out of these kind of franchises because it's a good thing he didn't go crazy while he was in them, if that makes sense. Or while he was, latched onto it for however many more years. Does that make sense?
I don't know. It might have made Crystal Skull more interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, it wasn't his fault. That movie just was bad. When he's swinging with the monkeys.
Yeah, but imagine if he'd been crazy during that time, he could have been arguing with the monkeys.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I just didn't understand. I'm like, wait, this suddenly turned into a cartoon.
Yeah, it really did.
That's when you lose me. And the fridge, nuke the fridge. I can at least, I don't know. See that of course I rolled my eyes at.
Right,
When he's swinging with monkeys, it's just more visually weird, I guess.
Well, I mean, the whole everybody was like refrigerators can't withstand that. I'm like, guys, you're missing the joke that old 50s refrigerators were all lead lined and weighed like 8,000 tons. Like it's a gag. Get over it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yep, so we're going to be getting Indiana Jones 5 whether we like it or not. 2019, and I hope it's good.
I do too. Look, I want it to succeed. I don't know.
Yep,
I don't think
Star Wars back.
Yeah, I don't think they can get worse.
Well, now it's going to be Disney doing it, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so Disney did not do us wrong with Marvel. They haven't done us wrong with Star Wars. So I have the best hopes for it. Get some good writers in there. We'll see. We'll see. Now, who knows? Maybe this is going to be J.J. Abrams doing it. Spielberg's directing. Okay, so I'm curious who's writing. But yeah, that's where J.J. got to start. Did you know that with Spielberg? And why is I forget her name? The producer of Star Wars.
Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah.
Yeah, she had. He went in and like what do you call it? Went through all of the old films and helped bring them up to modern day standards.
Oh, remastered.
Remastered them. Yeah, it was him and some other person. That's where he guys kind of start with her, and that's where she like, hey, she'd call him his protege. I don't know. It's on the Nerdist podcast. Listen to Kathy Kennedy. She talks about that. I thought that was really cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he kind of got into that world. So I could and that's what people are calling him. They're calling him the new Spielberg. So that would be cool.
And I can see that.
Yeah. That's how I see it. JJ, he I hate that he gets he gets one noted as the guy who just does sequels or whatever, but he has his own franchises. Lost was a lot his as it was, David Lindelof and whatnot, and Carlton Cuse. So it's JJ has a lot of projects that he does that are still his baby. He produces a lot of stuff. So, I think when it's all said and done, people will look back at his career and go, he made the same kind of movies that you see Spielberg making. And I'm sure later on, JJ might switch it up and start doing more dramatic and serious films, just like Spielberg did.
Sure.
Yeah, and instead of, big summer blockbuster adventure films, he's always changing it up. He's always switching it up. He's always trying to do something new. And we'll see. But yeah, you guys know I love J.J. Abrams, but yeah. So let's see. We got some more news. Probably the best news that I've read all day. Princess Diaries 3 director Gary Mitchell says that after Hanway gives birth, I think we'll be going to do it. So what do you think about this?
Dude, you know me, I'm on board. Like this is I'm a completely unabashed fan of these movies.
And see, I was just kidding, but now that I know that, that's awesome.
Oh, dude, I know. Like as soon as you started setting up, I'm like, oh, here comes the sarcasm.
Yeah,
I am totally down. I love these movies, but yeah, Gary Marshall said that was in very Gary Marshall fashion. It was I think we'll do it. We'll try it. It's a thing.
That's
I
awesome.
love the Marshalls, Gary and Penny and all of them. They're such a fun bunch to see interviewed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
I
So yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, my this is a franchise, and I talk about my grandma a lot because I love her to death. But she has the strangest taste in movies, and she loves the Princess Diaries series. That what's the Tyler Perry series?
Medea.
Medea, like she's all over the place.
Yeah.
She's like
Eh,
all different.
Here's a fun fact about the second Princess Diaries movie. It was Chris Pine's first feature film role.
Oh really? Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, that's funny. That's that's awesome. But yeah, man. So hey, we're gonna get a third Princess Diary. Um, and hey, give us the short list of Han Solo.
Okay. So they've revealed, so far as we know, uh, Alden. I'm gonna mess this up. Alden Ehrenreich, who was in Hail Caesar.
Oh, I still gotta see that.
Oh,
You told
yes,
me
you do,
great.
man. That's so good. You need to go see that. Jack Rayner, who was in the newest Transformers movie,
Hmm.
and Taron Egerton, who of course was in Kingsman.
Right. Out of
So,
that short list, who do you like?
man, I don't really know if I like any of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's my thing: I'm not crazy about any of them because I don't really I don't remember the kid from Hail Caesar that much. Um, I mean, somebody would really have to point him out to me and be like, "Oh, that's him," just because it's a name and a face I don't recognize.
He doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford.
Well, I mean, there's that too.
Yeah. Let me look at the other ones here. And in a way, I kind of wanted nobody. Oh, the guy from Transformers looks dead on.
Okay, well then there you go.
Oh, I remember him too. He wasn't that bad.
Who was he in Transformers?
He was the race car driver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the one that was like in love with a girl or whatever.
Right, right,
He
right.
wasn't that bad. I mean, given the material you're given, and then the guy from Kingsman wouldn't be a bad choice at all either.
Yeah, I mean, Taron's shown that he can anchor a movie for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. I mean, I'm sure he can do American accent, so
Yeah.
I'd like to hear it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited for it. A Han and Chewie movie. Man, that's gonna be good.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
It is. It really is. I'm excited. We live in the great age where we're getting comic book movies, Star Wars movies, Beetlejuice sequels, possibly, Princess Diary threequel trilogy. So it's
Video
a
game movies, it's the age of the
video
geek,
game.
man.
It really is. It really is. It's awesome. Let's see here, and we got you take these.
This
I heard about this.
did you
Okay.
hear about this? This
Yeah.
thing is weird. It's a startup company called The Screening Room, and it's a Sean Parker backed project from the guy who brought you Napster and chunks of the Facebook. He was Justin Timberlake in The Social Network. Apparently, a bunch of directors and producers, Spielberg, JJ, Peter Jackson, Ron Howard, a couple others, have got on board with this project, and it's a set-top box you can buy that you can rent new theatrical releases through. Now there've been I don't know how many different attempts at something like this, but this one's gaining steam, and I've only got like a minute here, so I'm gonna bowl through the bullet points real fast. Um, the set-top box is $150.
Mhm.
Every movie rental is $50. That gives you 48 hours to watch the movie. 20 bucks of that fee will go to exhibitors, AMC, Regal, etc. Um, and for every movie rental, you will also get 2 free tickets to go see that movie in a theater, so that way the theaters can get concession money. And distributors are going to get 20% of the fee. So I don't think this catches on at all.
Not at all.
I know they're aiming at like the parent market, like, oh, we can't, we can't find a sitter, or something like that. I know who they're aiming it towards, but I don't this isn't gonna work.
Parents are too frugal for that.
Oh, big time.
Um, Yeah, not the okay. Yeah, we'll talk about this when we get back. Again, you're listening to We Geek podcast on the N.FM. See y'all in a minute. All right, welcome back to We Geek podcast on the N.FM, and we just talked about this new box that they're supposedly working on to come out. Sean Parker, with his partners Spielberg and Peter Jackson and whatnot. $150 for access to it, $50 for rentals. I don't see this catching on.
No,
The great
the rental price is too high.
rental price is way too high. $150 for the access. No, the reason why Netflix took off was because it was simple. You would pay an $8 fee and they'd send it to you in the mail. The reason why Netflix streaming took off because you could do it on one of your devices you currently already own. You didn't have to buy a Netflix box.
Right.
You know, if they did this, I totally understand them not wanting to put this on Apple TV or PlayStation or all these other devices where you can easily just copy the movie and then distribute it and it'd go everywhere with a 1080p,
Right,
whatever.
and that's the big thing is why this one seems to be gaining some steam is at least among and especially distributors are kind of looking at this because of the box, because of the anti-piracy measures on the
So,
box.
so help me out here. There's no way someone could figure out how to record off of your television.
Give them a month.
Yeah, give them a month. So okay, so let's say you're over the $150 fee and that doesn't bother you. You're like, all right, I'll pay $150 for a box that I can rent new movies with. Yeah, absolutely. It has to be $20. That's the only way you're going to do this because, yeah, like you said, families. Parents are frugal. They're not going to care because the kid doesn't care if he watches Lion King a million times. It's his
Exactly.
favorite movie. It's the
Exactly.
thing like the parents aren't going to go for that. They're going to go for Netflix, where they can pay $8 a month and have access to a bazillion cartoon movies, animated movies. That's all the kid cares about. I wait. My friends with kids, they just wait for it to go to the dollar theater. So they go in, they take their kid for a buck. I think sometimes they're even free there, and they just wait a month or two. And a kid that's like 8 or younger, they don't care. They know it's out. They know their friends might have seen it, and you wait a few weeks and you make it a reward for them getting good grades or something. The only people that are going to be paying for this are the wealthy that don't want to deal with movie theaters, don't want to deal with any of that. Probably the people that are shaking the hands of Peter Jackson and Spielberg and J.J. I love J.J. Abrams and all of them. So, but I'm just, you know what I mean? Those are the people that are going to be paying for this, who couldn't bother, where money isn't that, it doesn't matter. They can just spend it like that. Who would pay $50 for that?
Right. I hereby dub this the snob box.
Exactly. Yeah, because if you live in middle America and your movie tickets are $7 or $8, maybe you live in a city where AMC tickets are $10, maybe 17 for the IMAX 3D or whatever. I would pay that and have an experience of seeing it in the theater than paying $50 on top of a $150 entry fee. That's ridiculous. That's the price of a PlayStation or a Wii U or something. Not a PlayStation, I guess, but a 3DS or something. To me, I'm not getting the bang for my buck for that. I don't see that working. It's a great idea, but their money prices are all over the place. That's
Right.
not going to work.
And
And it's not
even factoring in the idea of concessions.
right.
You have your own drinks and popcorn that you got at the store. That's fine, but it doesn't offset the cost. When I went to the theater yesterday, it was $7 for the ticket and like 15 for the concessions. So that's $22. I
Right.
could have done that twice for less than the price of one of these movies.
Right, exactly, and that's not worth it. And I get what they're trying to do. They're not trying to screw with theater. We live in a day and age where all of these companies, digital, everyone knows it's there and it's going to take over, and everyone's trying to do everything they can to, I understand, keep jobs and keep the theaters running and do whatever. They have to think outside of the box to stay relevant. They can't just do this. For example, I don't know how they would translate this into the movie theater. Local comic shops had to think outside of the box. They had to do other things to get people into the place and to buy and whatnot. I don't know what movie theaters are going to have to do. Maybe become arcades they used to be. Maybe they make it more of an experience or something. But everything's going digital. Everybody wants digital. My entire video game library is digital. Even my 3DS is all digital now. My movies, I can't think of the last time I bought. I'm gonna go buy Star Wars. That's gonna be the first Blu-ray I bought in over a year. So this is a great idea, but it's too expensive. No, and then the thing is the only companies that can really do expensive things like this have merit. They've had years of great customer service. They've had years of being in the public eye, and companies like Microsoft or Apple or Sony, like, they're established. When you get a PlayStation 5, you have a general understanding of what you're going to get and what kind of company you're dealing with. This startup with Sean Parker, come on, that's where there's no trust. This isn't Apple or something we're talking about, where people are going to go spend hundreds of dollars on something without question. No, I don't see this. I really don't see this, and we don't have to spend too much time on it. We've spent too much. Anything else you want to say on it?
No, I'm good.
Sorry, I went too long on that, but yeah,
no, it's all right.
Yeah, it's just I don't see that happening. All right, so The Exorcist in the TV news. Jenna Davis tapped to star in Fox reboot series. Refresh my memory. Who is that?
You asked me too quick, damn it.
So I'll look it up. Jenna Davis. Let's see here.
Gina Davis was the Thelma and Louise, right?
You're probably right. Yeah, yeah, it looks like it. Thelma and Louise.
Yeah,
and
I thought so.
Hey,
Yeah.
look at that, Beetlejuice.
Oh god.
Okay, so a tap to star in the series. So
and we're back to Beetlejuice.
We're back to Beetlejuice.
See, that's the secret. Yeah, see, that's actually the secret to life, the universe, and everything. It's all connected through Beetlejuice.
Exactly. Man, I haven't seen that in a while. Maybe that's a movie we riffed in a little bit. Maybe we add that to the list. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, The Exorcist. Okay. So, Powerpuff Girls series returns to Cartoon Network on April 4th.
Now, I want to be excited for this, but they're not using the original voice cast.
Oh, that's lame.
That's the part that really bums me out.
Right, and that bums people like us out, but to kids, they're not going to know.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. No. Are you kidding? They don't care.
Right, they don't. Yeah. I'm curious, and I am always curious about kids shows coming back, because I'm always curious who their audience is, because the kids that are going to be watching Powerpuff Girls, they probably don't know anything about Powerpuff Girls because they've never seen it before, where girls that used to watch Powerpuff Girls are in their 20s and something now. So it's kind of one of those, I'm just curious how that's going to play out.
I think it'll be fine, because the beginning of that was one of those cartoons where the show opening explained everything you needed to know.
I guess you're right.
In like
I guess
20 seconds.
Maybe I just haven't seen Cartoon Network in a while, but for example, Scooby-Doo, it stopped years ago, but it was always replaying, so I was able to enjoy it just like my dad was, I didn't know if they were still doing it with Powerpuff Girls. I don't know if it was still on to be played. But okay, we got Luke Cage. Mike Coulter says show will premiere on September 30th.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's 3 months out?
6.
6. I am completely off on my time. Hold on. Oh yeah, what am I talking about? Jesus. All right.
Yeah, that puts us in June, man.
Jesus Christ. I am off today if you guys can't tell. I hope you're enjoying it because I am. Yes, so we got CW. So what they renew everything.
Yeah, they put up a thing of like every show on their network, and it was just like #renewal.
That's good.
Totally.
When you can renew your entire network, all the shows, then that means all the shows are doing great.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure it was like pretty much everything. If you can name a CW show, it got renewed.
Awesome. Oh yeah. And oh man, this was great news. Preacher, AMC announces May 22nd release date for the series. Now, they were just at South by Southwest, right?
Yeah, premiered the pilot.
They premiered the pilot, and it's got nothing but rave reviews.
Yeah. Well, they blow up Tom Cruise.
Wait, do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did you just spoil that for me?
It's like part of like, hey, look, and then, it's one of those things that they threw in there because it's such a Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg thing to do.
I'll act surprised when I see it, but that's cool. No, I heard nothing but good things, so I am on board. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we kind of blew through TV there real fast.
That's all right. We've got a bulk of video. We got a lot of video game
Got
news
a lot
this
of video
week.
game news and a lot of reviews because we kind of skimmed a little bit last week, so we're gonna spend some time doing a lot of reviews this week too. But yeah, we got some video game news. We got Dead Island 2, Sumo Studio, Sumo Digital, which is Disney Infinity, Little Big Planet, Crackdown, now developing sequel after it reads like Jaeger, but it's not Jaeger. Productions dissolved. How do you pronounce that?
I thought it was Jaeger.
Okay, I usually pronounce Jaeger with the G, or you read it with a J, so that's why I was curious. But so they've been working on this for a while, right?
Yeah. What was it? I keep wanting to say Deep. Is it Deep Silver? Was the studio that like they owned it or whatever, and they were working with Jaeger, and then like they parted ways, and Jaeger filed for insolvency, and now Sumo Digital has picked it up.
Oh wow,
I think that's how that went.
gotcha,
But
gotcha. I was never into the Dead Island series.
like I played the first one, and we talked a little bit about this, I think last week, with the
Yep.
like the trailer looked amazing, and then you played the game, and I could understand people were like, hey, it's like a less cartoonish version of Dead Rising,
hmm
is essentially what it was, and I didn't want that, so
hmm
it was just, I mean, it just wasn't for me, and then Riptide was just more of the same.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to get into Dying Light. Like that's one I'm waiting because I waited for that to drop. It dropped, and then when they came out with the expansion, that's the only thing you can buy on the store is like the bundle. So now I gotta wait for that to drop. So eventually,
This
in a year from now,
Does that come with the Rocket League DLC?
is there Rocket League DLC with it?
There is Dying Light themed DLC for Rocket League, and there is Rocket League themed DLC for Dying Light.
It makes sense because the DLC, it's all about like apparently you're on a farm and you get into cars and stuff like that. So it's probably all like
Oh,
zombie.
sure.
Yeah. But we're gonna take a quick break. We'll get back and talk about video games in a moment. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See you in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we are knee deep in some video game news. We got some news coming out of CD Projekt Red Studio. They announced a new type of video game format previously explored by the studio for 2016. Also plans for the AAA RPG title for a 2017 through 2021 window. Now, does this have anything to do with their the Cyberpunk game that they're coming out with?
Could be. Actually, no, I don't think so. I think this was separate of that.
Oh, okay. So I mean, I guess I'm just curious what video game format they were talking about.
That's what interests me. Like, do they mean genre? Are they making a mobile game?
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Um, yeah, also plans for a AAA RPG title. This probably Witcher, right? You think?
It could be. It could be Witcher 4.
I mean, 2017 seems too close, though.
Well, but I mean that's why it's like it's in the window of
Right.
2017 through 2021. Like
That makes
at
sense.
some
Yeah.
point during those 4 years, they're gonna release another giant game.
Right. Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's about the most honest thing I think I've ever seen a company say. Where they're like, at some point during this 4 year time span, we're gonna release a video game.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So don't get your hopes up too
Yeah.
fast. Yep. Sony, basically the company is holding a recruitment event for how many members of Lionhead Studio?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah,
Jesus.
they're doing a thing in England, and they have explicitly invited everyone from Lionhead Studios. Hey, come on by. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Since they're getting ready to be unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, we went over a little bit last. I think it was last week.
Yeah.
The laws over there that basically the studio has to help them find placement somewhere else. So yeah, I mean, hopefully they all get work, good work. Um,
But I think it's
uh,
interesting that Sony's the one doing the recruiting event.
yeah, that is odd, but I mean, Lionhead was a big studio for them, right? So
They were
it's
big for Microsoft.
yeah, well, that's what I mean. So I mean, it's they probably see the talent there, and so
Well,
they want to
sure.
snatch it up. Go ahead and take the next one.
Yeah. they're conflicting. Now, the thing that's conflicting about this is where the images come from. There was a report that said it was from a live stream that somebody was doing, and then they found out it wasn't from there, so we're not sure exactly where they're from. But somebody has snagged some images from Killer Instinct that have shown that General Ram from Gears of War is going to be the next announced fighter.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
that'll be, just continuing to add to their roster of, hey, these people were in some of our biggest games. Like they've got the Arbiter now, and they're adding, which one? Rash from Battletoads. It's like,
Yep.
we own these properties. We should do more things with them. So
Right. Yeah, no, that's cool. I really love the format they're doing with Killer Instinct, where they're having seasons where it seems like every year they're just releasing new players.
yeah,
And they're taking, Microsoft, uh, that's just awesome. I wish Sony did something like that in that vein, or if there was a franchise they did like that. I mean, we had All Stars, I guess, but I think they went after, uh, the way Smash Brothers
yeah.
was.
All Stars was Sony's attempt at a Smash game,
Right.
and functionally it worked. Like All Stars is a fine game. It works as a Smash Brothers game, but I mean the thing is, they just don't have. They don't have the kind of there's not a Mario really
Right.
that Sony can use.
Right. Their
They've
Mario is more realistic, like the Uncharted series or
yeah.
something. And so maybe, like, I don't know, it'd be cool if they had a fighting game where they could throw in realistic characters, because they have a lot of, like Joe from The Last of Us or something. It would be cool. It would be a cool concept. Got, of course, Kratos. I guess they kind of did that a little bit with Mortal Kombat, but Mortal Kombat's more of it's not going to be the same.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but yeah.
could you just imagine like a Tekken style
Right.
PlayStation fighter where you have on one side all of the people who are voiced by help me out here, damn it, because there's two. There's the two.
Oh, my mind went blank.
I know. I had it like this was gonna be this great joke, and I've just totally screwed it up.
Nolan North.
Nolan North,
Yeah.
and the other one is the one I can never remember, and he's my favorite
Um. Uh.
because it's him and Nolan North. It's
Yeah.
oh, that's gonna bother me.
Yeah. I'll get it in 2 seconds. Hold on a
Yeah,
second. It is
because as soon as you said
Troy Baker.
yes, thank you, you're gonna have like on one side is like here are all the characters voiced by Nolan North, and on the other side here are all the characters voiced by Troy Baker.
Right. Exactly. And then you can go in the female realm and do like Laura Bailey.
Right.
Just like everything. But yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could absolutely do that. Sony could really have its own fighting game where it's more of a competitive type game
Right.
than anything else. So yeah. All right. Let's see here. We got some Final Fantasy news. Apparently, the release date for the next installment was potentially leaked, listed as September 30th.
Hey, same day Luke Cage comes out.
Yep. Now, I know the guys I listen to over at Kind of Funny, Greg Miller and Tim Geddes, they're hosting an event on the 30th this month.
Yeah.
Um,
The next big Final Fantasy press conference of sorts.
Right, exactly. What they did is they took Greg Miller, who knows nothing about Final Fantasy. He's just been an observer. Tim Geddes, who loves Final Fantasy, and that's who their audience. They're trying to go for people who are big fans of the series and people who just don't know anything about it, and they're kind of like they want to get both audiences in. So it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be cool to see, how they both take it and how. And that's the thing about those guys is they'll straight up tell a game it's garbage, even if they're getting paid to talk about it.
Yeah.
They did that with The Order. They were paid to talk about The Order, and they ripped it to shreds. And the same thing. They were like, "This is not a good game. Like, it's great for if it was $20, but for $60, it's not something right." That's why I love the integrity of those guys. IGN gets a lot of crap because that's where they came from. They get a lot of crap because obviously they paid advertisement. They try not to ruffle feathers, but these guys are independent, and I think that they have great relationships with people at Sony like Shu and whatnot. They know that they're not going to BS them. They're not yes men, and they need that. Sony needs that. They need people to go, this is not good. This is, and so I'm going to watch that just to see kind of, what their take is on it. I've been getting into a lot of JRPGs recently, like Bravely Default, for example, Fire Emblem. I picked up, which is like a tactical game. I've never played a tactical game like that, and I'm having a blast.
Nice.
So I don't know. I'm going to be interested in seeing what comes out of that. Let's see here. We got. Did you see the trailer for the new TMNT Mutants in Manhattan?
Okay, this is gonna be a video game.
Yes, I think it looks cool. It reminds me of the old school Ninja Turtle games.
It does.
The
Yeah.
bad guy turns red when you beat him up a lot. This is, what I've been wanting to play, and I can't because it's not on the store anymore. I booted up my PlayStation 3 to play Ni no Kuni, and I wanted to play the old TMNT Turtles in Time or whatever.
Oh, the reshelled?
The reshelled, but I couldn't download it or something like that. I couldn't re-download it because I guess they lost the rights, whoever the studio was.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I couldn't replay it, and I was kind of bummed out because I like those old school kind of games. They don't make those anymore. The the side-scrolling beat 'em ups?
They make them every once in a while.
I mean, the last one I played was the Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was good. It was better than the movie. Just kidding. Calm down. I'm just kidding.
Hang on, let me put this axe down over here.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
You need to rewatch that movie. You need to give that movie another chance.
We should both rewatch it.
I'm all for it.
Yep, absolutely. I'd probably appreciate it a lot more if I watched it with someone who does appreciate it, and we can poke fun, or we kind of like, oh, okay, I see where you're getting at with why this is a great scene and stuff.
Yeah, and that was such a weird experience for me because there is nothing about that movie I should like. It is completely the kind of movie that I would not go see, like that, like Napoleon Dynamite-ish kind of indie hipster film.
Oh yeah, it sounds like everybody was written how adults think teenagers talk.
Exactly, and I hate that stuff, but I love that movie, and I can't explain why.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand. But yeah, well that should definitely be one we put on the list. But yeah, so anyway, TMNT. The game looks fun. It looks cool. Is it going to be a full price game, you think, or is it going to be like $20 or $40?
I'm hoping 40.
Yeah.
But it is getting I think it's getting a physical release.
Oh, okay. Then more than likely it's going to be 60.
Because it's coming out for everything.
That will be one I'll wait until it drops down to $20 or something on the store.
That's definitely a bargain game.
Yep.
And I hate it because if they were to release that as a mid-price title, it would sell so much more.
That's the problem. Sell that for $30 and I'd be on board.
Totally.
Yeah, this is not. It's not going to be Uncharted. Uncharted, you get you get away with the $60, but not this.
No, you have to. Companies have to look at that as an option again. Yep. And I know we're not the only ones calling for it. Like I've heard this for years. We've seen the death of the mid-priced title. Not every game deserves to be $60. It's why. And I know there's a lot of content, but what's the one new puzzle game that's out that everybody loves that you played?
Oh, the Witness.
Yes, and it's a $40 title.
Right.
When it hits $30, I'm in.
See, the Witness, I could argue you could get that for 60, but yeah, I totally understand why. I totally agree with you. Yeah. 30 would be the perfect price. For that game, and that would have been a great price. I'm curious what the Witness is going to be on an iPad. I'm curious if they're going to keep it at $40. I doubt anyone would do that on an iPad.
Hey man, the when Square's been re-releasing the Final Fantasy games, they've been $20.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought I saw it for like 15, but yeah, $20. See, 20 is ridiculous. That game should be $10.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean. I'm not going to go into The Witness because that game has so much depth that you can look at it and go, oh, it's about drawing lines, or you can go, it has layers upon layers. Like when you get really deep into that game, it, it that's the best thing about it. Is it it there's what do you call it? Uh,
Depth.
there is you I can't think of the word.
Describe it to me. I'll help you. What do you got?
You learn. There's an awakening, something you knew you didn't you were looking at something, and it wasn't until you learned about it until you looked at it differently.
Okay, fair enough. There's like a revelation kind of
There's
thing.
constantly.
Nice.
It's like not knowing, it's like looking at, I don't know, sex as a kid or something, and you see it differently as you do an adult. You're just, when you're walking through the world, you're looking at everything, you're doing all this stuff, you don't realize how much depth there is to everything else. And then you start doing line puzzles, and then you learn all these little different things, and then by the end of it, you there's like an enlightenment or whatever. And I think that's the point of the game, is there you can make it this huge enlightening thing, or you can just, it's a game about putting lines. But it just, I don't know, I can't explain it. I'll come back next week and try to do a little bit better explanation, but that's what I like about it, and it's the game that I can put down and then come back to and just have a ball with. And it takes a little bit to get back into it, but you're doing the puzzles and everything else. But anyway, I won't go too much on about The Witness. It's a great game, but you're dead on perfect. It should have been $30, and absolutely more people would have picked it up.
Yeah.
And that's the other one last thing about that game. There are apparently endings to it that people have still not found. 4 of them, in fact.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't want to go into in depth about how endings can be different, but it's all how you view the world, and people just haven't seen it as the creator wanted it to. So it gets crazy. It starts to get like lost mode at that point. Yeah, it's all about your perception. But yeah, so anyway, Microsoft, go ahead and take the next one.
Yeah, this was big. I debated starting this section with this news.
Yeah, we should.
Microsoft, well, and because there is a bit of a caveat to it though.
Right.
Because Microsoft announced the idea of cross-network play not just between Xbox and Windows 10, but they're opening up the framework to potentially other PC platforms and other consoles.
Right.
The caveat here is that this is their side of it. They've said, we're going to open this up. Sony today put out a statement that said, in effect, we'll talk about it.
Well, they've actually said they've been doing it for a while, which doesn't make sense to me.
Because they had crossplay with Steam when it came to some of the Valve games. Like Portal 2 had some Steam crossplay.
Gotcha.
But I mean, it hasn't been like this. We're not, I mean, this is talking about, about playing with your friends on a different console.
Right.
And that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And so it's going to be interesting to see Rocket League play out, because it's like, the friend of the show, my buddy Sean, he's on Xbox. He doesn't have a PlayStation. He can't justify buying it yet, which he really should. I mean, come on, Uncharted's coming out. So anyway, he I have an Xbox and I have PlayStation, but I never touched my Xbox. But before that, we couldn't play with each other also. Games like Rocket League, that'd be cool to, like, hey, hop on, I connect to you. It's going to be so, I don't know how they're going to do that with the names and everything else. And I guess you'd have to just kind of do a toggle between Xbox and PlayStation, like when you're searching for somebody.
Sure.
But I doubt first party games would ever do that, of course, because you're not on each console. But I'm curious how AAA titles like The Division and Destiny,
Call of Duty.
Or Call of Duty. Well, Call of Duty, yes. I guess I didn't even think about Call of Duty. That's why I wasn't using it. But I was thinking like Destiny and Division, where you're constantly online. I don't think that would ever work.
I don't know. Like, this goes beyond my tech expertise is pretty much non-existent. But like, this is something that I can't even. I have no idea how any of this stuff works.
Right, yeah.
So I wouldn't, you start talking to me about servers and I'm already, I'm thinking Applebee's.
Right, right,
But
right.
like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah,
that's
I'm same boat.
yeah.
I have no idea how any of that's gonna work. It's cool that the they're talking, so that's
Yeah.
they're open for it. That's something people have been wanting for a while.
And the thing is, I don't think and I've heard some people say this, and I disagree. I don't think this diminishes the idea of, oh, I'm gonna get this system because my friends have it. I've heard some people
Well, no.
say, well, now you can get any system because you can play with everybody. I disagree with that.
Yeah, no,
I
you're still gonna want to get the system that all of your friends are playing on.
totally.
Because you want to be part of the conversation when they get things like Uncharted or when they get things like Halo or the network and everything else. This is just going to be the cherry on top where it's like, oh, now I'm not suffering because my friend made a bad decision, or that kind of thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
this is like, okay, well, Steve, who's been left out for however long this generation, can now play with us. I mean, I wish that was around when the PlayStation 3 and Xbox Live was out, because I had a ton of people that was on Xbox Live and I just wouldn't play because I refused to buy another Xbox because the first one died. And so yeah, it's just,
But that
but yeah, so that's great news.
but
That's great
that'll
news.
yeah, that'll be interesting, especially because, and here's something I didn't know.
Hmm.
Rocket League is only $20 on Xbox.
How much is it on
It was free,
PlayStation?
remember?
Well, it was free for
For
the
Plus.
month,
Yeah.
right?
But I mean, I don't know how much it is now, but I think it's probably $20 now too. But
Oh,
I mean, let's be real about one thing though. Everybody with Plus automatically adds their games. Whatever
oh,
the free games are, they add them that month.
right.
They
I see.
may
I felt bad for my buddy. He didn't that month because he thought a car game about like soccer, and I'm not even down with
Oh,
that.
oh,
He's one of these. I love him to death. Rush is great, but he just had one of those moments where someone just and he admitted it. He was being stubborn about it. He's like, so I'm not gonna get it.
oh.
And then when everyone raved about it afterwards, he's like, oh man, so he ended up buying it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's it. Sorry, guys. Guitar bands are on the way out. We don't need 4 kids from Liverpool on our label.
Right, exactly. Well, I have a whole group of kids that I play PlayStation with. Like, we're in a group chat and everything else. Literally everyone in the group chat purchased the Division, playing it, we're loving it. He's like, no, I'm good. And then he's like, hey, you guys coming in Destiny? Or you guys want to raid? Anybody want to do some trials? And
Uh,
we're like, come on, man. Like, we don't want you left out. Come play with us. Like, it's a good game, and it's great to kind of, it plays well with Destiny. So when you get bored with Destiny, there's something with content here. He got what's the saying? Got your feet in the just nope, not going any further.
dipping your toes in the water.
Yeah, I'm like, just come on. So yeah, he's not on ballot. So, but yeah, Rocket League, man, that game. I was listening to a podcast with the creator not too long ago, and it was just how it crashed the first day because they didn't realize how many people were going to be playing it. They had to go and purchase like however many more servers. Oh yeah, and that game was such a hit. They didn't realize it was going to be that big. No idea it was going to be that big.
Well,
And
I mean, that's, it goes to that point of like, hey, remember when this was what was it? Supersonic rocket powered battle cars?
right, it
Like
sounds
5 years ago on PS3, and it was a freebie at one point.
yep.
And it was like a demolition derby on steroids, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cute, and that was more or less it.
Oh yeah.
And then when this one came out, they were like, well, what if we added soccer to it?
Oh yeah, and I'm an idiot. I spent $2 and got the DeLorean.
Hey, why not?
So now when I do the turbo, it says back in time, or what does it say on the license plate? It says the same thing it says in
Out
the
of
movie.
time.
Out of time, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the what's cool is when you do the thing, all of the lights go, just like it does in the movie around the car. So,
Well, look, I mean, this is the perfect example of how microtransactions should be handled.
oh
They're
yeah, they
all
should put the
cosmetic.
ghost- yeah.
There's no reason to buy any of them other than, hey, that looks cool. I want that.
Oh yeah, that like it should be, Ghostbusters comes out, they should put a Ghostbusters thing in there.
Oh, they will. Oh
Yeah. Yeah, so like anything that has,
They've got a
they did it-
Batmobile now. Like,
Yep, they got Batmobile, they have Mad Max. Like it's just perfect for it. They could even do a Lego car if they wanted to. A Simpsons, Homer Simpson's car or whatever. Like
sure.
they could really do that. It'd be fun.
If they wanted to get really crazy, you know what they should do?
What?
They should get the Wacky Races cars.
Oh yeah, that would be
That would
great.
just be awesome.
Oh yeah, even the Ninja Turtle van, it'd be perfect.
There you go. Now you're talking.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But now big PlayStation news this week.
Yeah, huge news.
Yep, we got the price and release date, so it's going to be in October for the PlayStation VR, and it's going to be $400.
But
The PlayStation camera is also required, sold separately for $60. I'm sure you can go to a pawn shop and get it for cheaper than that. But yeah, so it's going to be $400. You need the camera, which is sold separately. PlayStation Move controller sold separately for around $30. Are they really $30?
yep.
For
These
one
are
of them?
and now these are all that for just one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd go to a GameStop or eBay.
Like that's the thing. You can buy these pre-owned for cheaper.
Right.
But, if you wanted this like a whole brand new setup,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking $500.
Right, 500 out the gate.
Yeah.
And this is what Sony has been telling everybody from the beginning. This is a new console to them. That is how they're treating it. They're treating it as they're releasing a new console. So, if that's, if it's not the time and you want to wait, I totally understand. I know you're going to be waiting for it.
Yeah,
Price to drop.
yeah, I mean, for me, it's just a price thing. Like, I understand where Sony is. I didn't realize until I started looking at other VR headsets. I didn't know they were that freaking expensive.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying is that like they're taking this at a loss. So
Yeah.
if this is as much as yes, $400 and then however much extra for whatever is expensive in the long run, in the ballpark we're looking at, it is not. It is the cheapest one you're going to get for what it does. And I think that they're setting themselves up. They had to do that because they have now the initial player base. It is the biggest console for this generation. So anyone – sorry, I've been adjusting for a second. But anyone that wants a game right now to play on these things, they're probably going to go with VR. Or the PlayStation VR because Oculus – you're looking at $1,000 computer just to play it alone. On top of that, then you're going to spend at almost over it was like over $800. So for the price of the Oculus, you could purchase a PlayStation 4, the VR headset, and 2 video games for the price of an Oculus Rift. So, in the scheme of things, this is the best. This is the best choice you have if you want to do VR gaming. And I think Sony is setting us up perfectly to be the leader of that. And this is going to be one of those things, I think, where I see PlayStation VR doing huge, I see Oculus doing huge, and I think everything else fall off.
Yeah.
Because if you own a powerful PC already, Oculus might be right up your alley if you have $800 to drop on it. But if you have a PlayStation 4 and you kind of want to if you're like me and you're just like, I don't know about VR yet. I haven't really even tested it.
Right.
The games, there's no AAA thing that's coming out for it. You might think about it, and that would be the one to go. Or you could be like Logan, just completely wait and see what happens. I just hope it doesn't turn into like the Vita, or the Kinect, where everyone waits and then they don't do anything, and then that's when it dies.
Yeah, like my thing with something like this is always, and I know they promise, they're like, and 50 games will be available for it. I'm like, you guys say that. Every company that releases a console or something always says they're going to have X many games, and it never happens.
Right.
It never happens. It doesn't matter who you are, it never happens. So that's my big thing, is you need, for something like this, you need a library out of the gate. And they're promising it, but I'm not just talking about tech demos here.
Well, the big one that they announced was Star Wars Battlefront for it.
And you know what? Okay, that's
cool.
That's big. That's about as AAA as it gets.
Exactly. And if they do No Man's Sky, if somehow they figure out a way to make that VR, that's where I thought the perfect VR would be.
Yeah.
But they showed off a few other ones. Like there's a few dance like music, what do you call the rhythm type of games.
Yeah, not a surprise.
And I think that's perfect. Like that's kind of you could really see a lot of music and rhythm games come back full force with something like that because you can move around, you're dancing, there's people dancing next to you, there's an audience,
Well, I mean that's why they announced Rock Band VR.
Right, exactly.
Like they were like, "Hey, you know that thing Guitar Hero is doing where you're on stage but you see it on the TV?
Hmm.
We're going to put you on stage on VR." And I'm
Right.
just waiting for Guitar Hero to come out and say, "Hey, us too." Like
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
can just see that happening. But
Oh yeah.
did you see the what did they call it? The Trials on Tatooine little tech demo they had?
Yes.
That make that a full VR title, I am in. That will sell me on PlayStation VR,
Yep. Oh
hands
yeah.
down.
I guess the Battlefront game is called Star Wars Battlefront VR Experience, so I'm not sure what that means. I imagine it's just a version of Battlefront where you're playing in the VR.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. This is going to be where this is what tablets and iPads had to do. You can't just put Mario on a tablet and expect it to sell gangbusters. I guess you could, but it's a bad example. But you need a controller for those kind of games. Where this, you can't just put Uncharted on it, and you have to mold the experience to the VR. So I don't think it's going to be these big titles at first. It's going to be actually new titles. It's going to be new franchises, and it's going to be all tailored to the virtual reality, like that one that they have, the Robinson Crusoe one.
yeah.
It's the dinosaurs and stuff. That's kind of perfect.
And this is where horror gaming can have its resurgence.
Bingo.
This
And
is magic for horror games.
well, that's why they announced the Up at Dawn or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be like a on rails shooter or something. But anyway, we got to take a quick break though. We'll be back. We'll talk more about it. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See you in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And when we last left you, we were talking about PlayStation VR, and I brought up a list here of some of the games. One of them that I thought was odd was Job Simulator.
You don't. I remember when they talked about this. I think, if this is what I think it is, like you play a robot who does like menial. You're like an office temp.
Yeah, I'm looking at a video now, and like
Yeah, like you're a real
picking up
world
things.
office. Yeah,
Wow, he's put a stapler on a scanner. He's bouncing balls. That's yeah, oh, yeah. You are a robot.
yeah,
Okay, they're telling him to get back to work, and he's just shooting things all over. This doesn't even seem. That is weird. So this is one of those simulator games where
yeah.
like Goat Simulator. Yeah, okay, gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, so it's got PlayStation, Playroom VR, Tumble VR, Valkyrie, Waltz the Wizard. So it really looks like the ones out of the gates are going to be uh, Drive Club. That'd be interesting. There's probably going to be maybe, hopefully, one or two. Star Wars clearly is going to be the one that I would be playing a lot. But man, I got my fingers crossed. I hope it's not something that comes and then goes in a decade.
Yeah.
I don't. I really think that it's going to have a little bit more uh, impact than something like Kinect, because VR is attached to so many other things besides just gaming.
Right.
Like there's so many other things you could do with it to explore a city, to see what it's like under the ocean on the Titanic, to go to the Eiffel Tower, to learn, to just sit in a classroom. You know, I've seen it where they have like that camera that's 360 degrees or whatever, and they're recording where you can just watch and move your head around or whatever. Like that kind of stuff I think is cool.
Yeah,
So
this has so many more applications than just
right,
being behind the wheel in a racing game.
right, exactly. And my buddy was trying to talk me into the Oculus, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't justify that. That's too much money. That's $400 is a lot of money to begin with. That's like a plane ticket to go to California or something. So, I can't justify spending double that
And
on
again,
something that,
you're talking about just the thing. Like you're not even
right.
talking about games.
Exactly, yeah. So I can't do that. So I hope by the end of the year I'll be in a good place where I can definitely pick that up and play with
Yeah.
it. It's something I want, but it's Yeah, I'm glad that it is at the price it's at. I wish, of course, like everyone else, it was cheaper. But what can you do? They did the best they could. So I hope it gets knocked out of the park. And just like anything, it's gonna be a year or two before you really start seeing. So I mean, look at us. We're the PlayStation 4. How many years have been out, and we're just now getting Uncharted, which
Yeah,
is
what's
probably
this year 3, isn't it?
it's year three, and we're getting the title that everyone you pretty much bought the system for. There's been I can't think of a major first party game that knocked it out of the park yet. Um, so it's one of it's one of those things where it's gonna take some time. Might not get it right when it first comes out, but it's definitely something I want. Um, but yeah, but yeah, I mean that's it. Anything else you want to say about it?
I hope it rocks. I really do. And I know everybody talks about Microsoft's HoloLens and how wicked that thing looks, and it does look cool, and it does look badass, and it's like $4,000.
It's
So
$4,000. And the thing about that, the big difference between HoloLens and VR, which is I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Total Biscuit and whatnot. And what they talk about is what a lot of people aren't really saying, that with HoloLens, when we're looking at it through the TV, when they're doing the tech demos and they're showing us what they see, we're seeing an entire room filled with Minecraft stuff, lifting from the table and doing whatever. That's not what they're saying, because you got to imagine they have the glasses sitting on them. So all the space around the glasses that they can see through, nothing is there. They're only seeing it through the scope of the glasses.
right.
So it takes you out of the immersion a little bit, because you're not fully immersed like a virtual reality headset, where you put the headset on and obviously you have a headset on, but everything you can see outside of that glass window, it looks like you're in the world. So they said it really does take people out of the experience when they're putting on just the glasses. And of course, it's like a weird thing they have to put on too. He almost wished, he said, it was like you were putting on a VR headset instead of a pair of glasses, because it takes them out of it. So
Right. And
I don't know.
there's another interesting point that I'm curious about with more or less any VR headset, but PlayStation VR in particular. Things like this, how do they work with somebody like me who wears glasses?
Well, apparently it fits on
It
just fine with
it
the VR
does fit.
headset.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
was listening, same podcast. Jesse Cox wears glasses, and he put it right over his glasses. Also, Greg Miller, same thing. Greg Miller tried it on with his glasses. It worked just fine.
okay.
He suggested, of course, use contacts if you have them, but he wears glasses, and he put them on. It fits over. It fits fine. And so,
Excellent.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to be curious, because I imagine people are going to want to test this out before they
Oh
purchase
yeah,
it.
this is something that I would have to demo
And I'm
before I bought it.
curious how they're going to do that, because do you think they're going to put it in the store?
I
Like,
I I see. I don't know. I don't know. I would love to see. You could almost do like a traveling tour with it.
right,
I
that's
would
true. I
I would
guess,
be
yeah.
okay with that. Like they did with Connect. Well, they demoed Connect in stores.
Yeah, they did, but I see a bit. I see someone chopping that cable and taking the. Yeah, I mean, I guess they would have them at a few Game Stops. They would have to. I know that I'm lucky living in Orlando. There's so much stuff around. There's a Player One bar down on International Drive, and they're gonna have it. They have the Oculus there right now, and so I think either this weekend or next weekend I'm gonna go see it. So I actually might talk about it on the show.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so I'm gonna go check that out. I imagine they'll get the VR one as well, the PlayStation one. So it's gonna take places like that to spend money to be like, hey guys, come check this out. So maybe someone in maybe smaller towns like you. Are there any shops like that would go out of the way to get that, to get people to come in?
I mean, the closest. I mean, we would. We have a GameStop. That's about as close to anything like that as we have.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No,
see,
we don't have anything that's going to be like, hey, we should get one of these to bring in. Cause no, dude, are you kidding?
gotcha,
I live in a place where if there was an establishment that did that, they might close it down for fear of witchcraft.
Oh my God. I sometimes forget that's where, yeah,
It's
oh
it's
man.
not like I'm not. There is some civilization here, but not much.
Oh man, oh damn, that sucks. Yeah.
Well,
I
part of it's fun, but when it comes to something like this, like I'd imagine I would probably have to drive to like a Best Buy in Charlotte to see this.
Right, that's true.
It'd be something like that.
The Wii U did a tour as well like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess with like a smaller town, it's the give and take. You get probably a lot more peace and quiet, but at the same time, you don't get stuff like that.
Right.
Um, yeah. So I'm no, no, I'm gonna try the Oculus in the next few weeks. And kind of based on that, because from what I understand, it does affect a lot of. Of course, it doesn't hurt your vision or anything like that, but from what I understand, it does make some people sick.
Well, sure. It's a whole, it's like with Cloverfield.
Right.
That drove a lot of people nuts.
Yeah, it actually even made J.J. Abrams' father throw up.
Wow.
Run outside of the theater. And I was listening to his podcast with the Nerdist, and he talked about that. They actually talked about Cloverfield and how that made a lot of people sick or whatever. And so yeah, it's never made me sick. So shaky cams. I think it's the idea of the camera moving without you realizing it's moving that gets people sick. But I don't know. I'm excited to test it out. I can't wait. I really can't wait to get into that and play a little bit of it. The one that looks the best to me is the one where you're in the mech suit and you're running around and you're like jumping with the ball into that hole. You're shooting the other mechs. Does this one sound familiar at all?
No.
Okay, so what we'll do is after the show, or when we take a break, I'll send you the link. You can watch it. You don't have to watch it on break or whatnot. But maybe we'll talk about it next week. But I just can't think of the name of the game. But it's like a team of mechs, so it's like 4-on-4, and you have to get a ball, and you have to jump to this big hoop thing, jump into it while shooting the other mechs, and hitting them in the face and all this other crazy stuff. And you're looking around. It looks like a ton of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I just can't think of the name of it. But yeah. So okay, so I think that's it for video games. We can get into some reviews. You want to talk about a little bit about the Dark Tower?
Sure. Yeah, we'll talk about the Gunslinger a little bit.
Yep, Gunslinger. So just kind of give me your general impressions. What did you think of it?
Weird.
It is weird.
I mean, weird. Like what? I mean, I understand the general premise. He's chasing this guy. Okay, but everything else is just so weird.
It's like a dream.
Yeah, or a bad trip.
Right. Yes. Bingo.
Really
Bingo.
bad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. It's like at the time it makes sense, and then when you wake up, or I guess when you come out of your trip, you're like, oh, that was really weird. Did I say that? Did I do? That's kind of what I got from this. It's like. It's a story within a story as well. So or at some parts you get into like I'm like, wait, so right, we're not at that time frame, we're at this time frame. And it's just it's odd. It's really odd. Yeah, I don't know. The whole time too reading it, I was thinking how are they going to make this into a film?
And now you see the question.
Yeah, exactly. Now from what I understand, the later, I don't know how many books were in the series.
7.
Jesus Christ, this should be a TV show, not a movie series.
Well, that's why they're doing both.
That's true. Okay, yeah, I forgot about. Wait, okay, so they are okay. So Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba, they're going to be in both the movie and TV show. I forgot about that. Okay, so yeah, it makes sense. They have to do that. And I guess this would be the movie because there isn't that much that happens in this. It really only really one location. It's gonna be odd. I can't see them making this into I don't know how they're gonna do it, how they make it into a film where it doesn't seem like just a constant trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was weird. I'm kind of I really want to read the next one. I want to see where the story goes from here. I have some questions about what the 19 is and all this other stuff. And yeah, I just it's really weird. I'm not sure what else to say about it.
Yeah, I mean that's that's definitely one of the best words that I would use to describe it. Is just weird, but it's it's an interesting weird.
Right. Yeah, I definitely want to see what happens after this. Apparently, not in this book, but in the later books, it ties all of Stephen King's books together.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing.
Right, yeah. So I thought that was interesting. It's just those little things like, Hey Jude is playing,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense. Like, what are they? Is this? I just get the feeling this is like Stephen King is dreaming, and at the end of the last novel, he's gonna wake up, and it's gonna touch on all these like little weird things that he was listening to while he was sleeping, or all these little ideas popped in his head, and that's what this gunslinger story is about.
Right.
But yeah, so it's. I mean, that's not much of a review, but I thought it was interesting. Maybe later on this year we'll pick up book two at some point. Because that's where I understand it gets really good is once and I don't want to spoil the ending, but once it leads off, from what I understand, this kind of just set up the world and it set up the characters, and we go from there. So yeah. So is there a certain book you wanted to pick for us next week?
Yeah, I'll pick one
Okay.
because it's one that everybody. It's kind of like Forrest Gump in that everybody knows the movie, but I find that most people haven't read the book.
Okay.
The Princess Bride
Oh, okay.
by William Goldman. Yeah, it's interesting because that's one that's like, that's a book? It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a book. And there's two different schools of people. The people that know it's a book have read it like 20,000 times and it's their favorite book ever.
Okay.
And people like me, like I didn't, for the longest time, like I didn't know it was actually a book.
I didn't know it was a book either.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's the other side of it. It's like, well, that's a book? Really? Okay, that's a book.
Right, the classic tale of true love and high adventure. So is it cheesy? Like is it on the nose like it is in the movie?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's very tongue in cheek because it's William Goldman's edition of S. Morgenstern's classic tale. It's from right out of the gate. It's
Gotcha.
funny.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool, cool. All right, let me put that down here. Perfect.
So it'll be an interesting kind of palate cleanser from the Gunslinger, I think.
Yeah, totally different. Totally different. Yeah, no, I've been reading so much this year because of you, but I'm glad. And sometimes I cheat. I do the audiobook, but same thing.
Well, I don't see that as cheating. It's still
Yeah,
you're still absorbing the story.
definitely,
And
definitely.
sometimes it's better in audiobooks. I mean, I know we've talked about before the King Killer Chronicle books. I
Right.
love the audiobooks. The Wise Man's Fear is probably my favorite audiobook ever.
Oh wow, I've never listened to that audiobook of it.
You
I've
have
only
you
read
haven't
it.
you've only heard the Name of the Wind audiobook?
No, I mean I've read the books. I'd never. Yeah, I did listen to Name of the Wind, but I've never listened to The Wise Man Fear.
Oh, you need to listen. It's so good.
I've only just read it. Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's so good.
dang. Yeah, I gotta check that out. Maybe we'll do that later this year. But okay, all right. So we're gonna take a break. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See y'all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And before we get into some of the reviews of things we've been watching or playing or reading this week, wanted to talk about something that me and Logan have been brainstorming for a little bit now. Um, the idea, and maybe you can talk about a little bit for Logan, of our podcast uh, kind of getting out of its comfort zone and doing something a little bit different, a little bit entertaining. And in the same vein of riff tracks, we wanted to kind of sit down, watch a movie together, and just talk about it. Make fun of it if it's a bad movie, or just kind of do commentary on it. And that's what we're going to be doing. For our 1 year anniversary, we're coming up on the 52nd episode, which all 52 weeks in a year, as DC likes to show us. And I think for the anniversary episode, it's going to be fun to kind of release our episode that day or the next day, right around that time. And the first movie we've picked is 1984's Dune, David Lynch's movie. Yep. And so, yeah, we're just gonna watch the film. We're gonna riff it. We haven't thought of a creative name for our show to do it yet, but it's just riff tracks right now, pretty much in the same vein of it. And yeah, is there anything you want to say about it, Logan?
Just that this is I hope this starts something interesting.
It
'Cause
does.
I've always like I've always wanted to do like my own kind of riff tracks.
Hmm.
And with the podcast that I did years ago with the Super Couch show,
Hmm.
we kind of did a couple,
Hmm.
but I mean, really, it was just we set a tape recorder down in the on the table, and so I mean, it was not a real thought out setup,
Hmm.
but it was fun. And
Yeah.
that was the point. It wasn't anything we could use or anything, but it was a fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think it's going to be cool. Of course, you can send in some requests. You can send us an email
Oh,
at We Geek
oh yeah.
Podcast.
Sorry, let
Yep.
me go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you can send us emails at wegeekpodcast@gmail.com, or send us to our Twitter or Facebook page. Send requests, of movies that you would like us to riff. Maybe we get some other people in on the action and join us. I
That
think that would be fun.
that's where this thing thrives. Is not just on getting like guests in, but also like what do people want to have riffed.
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
was what made Riff Track so great was how many like what they would take suggestions a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know they've kind of moved towards they do theirs live now.
Mhm.
That's their big thing, and those are fun. Those are fun to go to because
Oh,
they'll simulcast them, and
mhm.
it'll be like some events do that, like the Fathom event stuff.
Right.
They do that for those now, but yeah, it's just gonna be a file that you'll download. It'll just be our audio.
Hmm.
Anybody familiar with Riff Tracks knows the procedure. They have their own player that syncs up the audio and the video. Um, we're not that lucky, so you're just gonna have to kind
Right.
of ballpark it.
Right. We're just gonna pick a part towards the beginning and just say sync it up to here and press play, and we'll do a countdown and whatnot. But we'll give you more details about that next week when we talk about it on the show. I think it's probably gonna go live on iTunes and whatnot the next day, probably around Thursday. But we'll talk about more next week, kind of the nitty gritty of what to do and whatnot. But yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing for our 1 year anniversary, and I can't wait. I'm pretty excited. um, but yeah, man. So we got a few more minutes left. Is there what do you want to talk about? Movie, games? What have you been doing?
We'll do movies first
Okay, so
because we're
what do you
just
think of 10 Cloverfield Lane?
man, that was intense.
Yeah.
That's the word I would use. Like I was struggling. I'm like, was it weird? Was it strange? It's like, yeah, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Intense is the word.
Yeah, it was everything I wanted it to be. And I love that they can tell these different kind of stories in the same universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just different, and like you said, it was intense. John Goodman, holy cow. I
He
can't.
This is one of the creepiest roles I've ever seen. Not just for John Goodman, but I mean ever.
Yeah,
And it's because he does it so well.
yeah, yep, exactly. And he's just. I don't want to get into spoilers. I know we're in like a spoiler section, but I really don't even want to get into too much of spoilers because that's what makes this film so great is the constant questioning of, who's telling the truth, what's really real. You've seen it from the trailers. It's someone getting pulled from the wreckage, and when they're put in this, they're in an underground bunker, and she's basically told, um, you were in a car accident. I saved you. The end of the world happened while you were out, and that's it. That's the setup. And so I'm not going to go beyond that. But what happens is just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And it keeps coming back to the idea of like who's, you know, is this and it's great because Goodman teeters on is he completely insane or is he
Mhm.
believable and good-hearted and just, a little tweaked?
Right.
It
Exactly.
it bounces back and forth with that and
Yep.
and then some of the other things that happen where you're like, well now, you don't know what to
Right.
really believe.
And I kept thinking, starting out the film, I'm like, oh wow, are they just playing with the audience, thinking that since this is J.J. Abrams producing, since this is in that same thing, they have the title or the tagline is "Monsters come in many forms." Is this them really just tricking the audience into thinking this is set, in that same Clover as the first movie, or could it all be just a trick? could it all just be to mess with you? And then once you get deeper in the film, you start uncovering the different layers of it, and you start unraveling the mystery, and that's where it shines. And and then it goes, and that's the thing. It's like it's so many different kind of films. It doesn't. You can't put it in a box because most of the film, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't want to go into too much detail, but you'll see it changes a lot.
Yeah, it does.
And I like that. I love that. And this isn't a spoiler because J.J. Abrams has talked about wanting to do more films set in this Cloverfield with the tagline Cloverfield. Moving forward, he has actually 2 films that he's thinking about doing, producing or whatnot. And so this could be like his little universe he plays in.
Hey, go for it. Why not?
Yeah, yeah. I could see 8mm being tied in, or not 8mm.
Super 8.
Super 8 being tied
Funny,
into
I was
this.
just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. This is his little weird world, and so I think it's really cool. We only have a few minutes left. What have you been playing? Or Walking Dead? What do you think of Walking Dead?
That was a strange episode.
Yeah.
The pacing was so weird for me, and then I'm telling you, man, Carol's had quite a season.
Oh yeah, oh man, this was her episode, and I think she shined in it. And, you could tell what she was doing when she was playing, weak, and it was just perfect. Like, she's really smart, and I've really come around over the last few years to really like her.
Right, but then you have to wonder, like, is she playing at that as a disguise, or is she actually trying to get back to that because she doesn't like what she's turned into?
Oh yeah, she told her, run, go, you don't have to do this, and that comes, oh man, and then we're all Negan, like, it's just, oh my God, I can't wait. And there's a big episode coming up. Negan's clearly in the he's coming up. I really don't think it's going to go the way people think it's going to go from the comic book. That's because I think there's 2 people here. There's 2 sets of people. For example, the ones who've read the comic books, I think there's 2 sets. People who think it's going to go down exactly like it. People who think they're going to change it. And that they're doing the switcheroo.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be the person that happens to in the comics. I think it's going to be someone else that people love in the TV show.
I can think of 3 that it might be.
Yes, 3. And I didn't mean like just one specific person. I think it's going to be you nailed it, 3 people. And I don't know if we should say it. I don't want to potentially ruin something for somebody.
Nah,
so
I'm just going to leave it at that. Like, it's
exactly.
not, I don't think it's going to play out. I think it's going to play out like it does in the comics, with the exception of who this happens to.
Exactly, because in the comic it was just so random. It was just completely random.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be one of those eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by, and then bam, So, so it's going to be interesting. What else now? I didn't get a chance to go into. We only got about a minute or so left. I'll talk about it next week. I'll make sure we take a lot of time set out because I want to talk about Stardew Valley, man.
Yeah, you started to talk about that last week, and you were right. It looks like Harvest Moon on crack.
Oh yeah, no, I'm making beer now. I'm selling beer to the town. I'm listening to a podcast with Dan Riker, and he's talking about how he has a horse now. He brings eggs to everyone in town, and he's trying to save the community center from like all this crazy stuff. And it's so great. It is one of the I went in there and I tried it. And that's the thing about it is with animal. Actually, we don't have much time, so we got to go. I'll talk about it next week. Yeah, we'll talk about all that next week. The Division I'll get more into, and Fire Emblem, which was surprisingly really fun. But again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. Our Facebook group is We Geek Podcast. There's 2 pages, like and talk on one. Our Twitters is at We Geek Podcast, at Adam Estep, and at the Logan Witt. Our email is wegeekpodcast@gmail.com, and send us let us know what movies you'd like us to rift. We're going to start with Dune and go from there. So, yep, send book suggestions, anything you want, and we'll read it on the show. So, again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. Captain.
Captain.